this little like square robot with a little forklift on the front, and he would just like run into people and like flip them over. That was what he did. He wasn't like brutal. He didn't like just rip other robots. He just like flipped them over and then drove away. He's like, haha, flipped them over.
I've seen a couple of those shows. They were really quite cool.
I'll have to show you the YouTube.
When I was very young, I really liked them as well. Archer is our Korean Protoss, of course, spawning on the right bottom side of Ohana, while EG's Huck is our red Protoss spawning on the left top side.
Kev, I've got to say, if there's any job in the world that is comparable to our job, it's the BattleBots commentators. So I can rest easy in the fact that if esports ever, goes away, or if I ever get fired, I can try to get a job casting BattleBots.
I don't know what to say about that. I want to make a mean joke about you getting fired is much more likely, but I didn't want to do that because you actually do a really good job, Ben. So I didn't want to say that. But now I still said it. Sorry. See the 12 gate opening over here by Huck. Archer is going to be a little bit later as he used his second chrono boost before he wiped in that gate, but those are just minor differences. Makes not really it's not really a big deal in PvP. Curious to see, Ben, how Huck is going to play as he opened up Blink Stalkers on Cloud King, then played Robo on Daybreak.
I predict DTs, Kev.
Yeah, Huck has done it before, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this is quite a good Robo map as well, even though if you're very, very good with Blink Stalkers, even though it's really not easy to blink to the main base on Ohana, as most of the time you have to blink in over here, and you can try to leave over here, but you really have to be in a good position, as that cliff is pretty big. But we see some sick play in the past with Blink Stalkers over here, pulling an army out of position, and a couple of sentries coming in from the natural, for instance, force fielding the Robo player out, then taking out the Nexus. That kind of move, those kind of moves are really, really sick in PvP, but it's also super hard to execute. So we'll see. I think that Huck is going to play a Robo style, and I have no idea what to expect out of Archer.
Yeah, if I wanted to make a realistic prediction, Kevin, I do think this is just going to be a very standard macro game. We've already seen all the craziness from either side. I think both these guys want to just sit back and play a standard game and say, okay, we've had our fun. Now let the best man win.
Cybernetic score is done already for Huck as we see the first Stalkers in production. Ben, if you would play against Huck in two games in a row, you see that he just doesn't really scout. Well, he does scout with the first Zealot, but that's already pretty late because by then his Stalker is in production. What about just building 2 gates in his natural and rallying in a couple of Zealots?
I don't know, man.
It's gonna be. I think it would be very, very hard for Huck to defend. With perfect micro, that's still possible. As the Stalker is gonna run straight into this probe. Taking out this probe would be really quite a big deal. I always love it when I take out the probe in PvP, and Huck is
he's gonna
making a priority out of that as well.
This probe's definitely gonna go down. So at least for now, he doesn't have to worry about warp ins on his side of the map. Didn't do any checking around for pylons, but as we can see.
Wow, that's a really sick movement, by the way, there on the Stalker. He got so many free shots off on the Zealot. In the end, the Zealot still will be able to scout pretty much everything and kill a probe.
Almost manages to micro that probe away. I struggle with that too, Kevin. When you try to micro away the targeted probe, it always has like this one little second of lag before he moves, and it makes me really sad.
Maybe you should get an iBuy Power PC, man. Then you won't have that problem.
That's a good point, Kev. I probably need a new iBuy Power PC. Why not just pick up a couple?
Why not just get the whole house? Like, guys, it's Christmas. As Ben is like,
I buy Power PCs for everybody.
Ben has like 4 children in the house living off his money. So
I think I'm gonna go home and go over to ibuypower.com and buy my new iBuy Power PC this evening.
And just buy it for everybody. Just buy it for all your children, Ben. It's Christmas.
Oh man,
that would be an expensive Christmas, ain't that right, young daddy? Ben has 4 children, and he's not the original father of one of them.
Yeah, I like to adopt pro gamers. Expansion coming up for Huck, well ahead of Arthur, who I mean, he's finishing up Blink. You think he's just gonna go all in Blink Stalker?
I mean, he has 24 probes. He's not building any probes right now. All in is a big word, but he's definitely gonna try to do some serious damage over here. Huck with only 1 gate and 1 Immortals, it's gonna be pretty tricky, Ben. If Archer would go for that suicide blink, it's gonna be like 6 to MC lost playing like this, by the way. 7 Blink Stalkers really, really quick. Huck has to be so careful. He wipes in 2 more Stalkers, so I guess now he should be fine. But Huck, if he would just get a single Zealot for something once, it would really help out a lot.
Arthur's blink just now finishing. He's got no way to see high ground, so the only way he's able to blink up is if he actually gets a unit up there.
What's quite ballsy by Huck is that he's getting Immortal and then Observer already. Now, of course, going double Immortal before Observer is kind of risky too, but still this makes it a little bit harder.
He's just going to go for it. Arthur blinks right on top of that Immortal, and it goes down very quickly. Probe's going to be pulled off the line. Arthur trying to micro a little bit. There is a Zealot there.
Force field.
Oh, but he's a little bit trapped. Force field's going down, and that's not the best blink on one of those Stalkers. The other one's doing as much damage as they can before they get out of there, but Huck holds quite nicely.
Yeah, that was really quite well. Huck still is 9 workers ahead. If that Immortal pops, he's making another Stalker. If that Immortal comes, he should be fine.
Need more good blink control from Arthur. He's going to try to make something happen. Will he blink on top of this Immortal again? I do not think so, as he is just going to be blinking back those damaged Stalkers. He's doing a good job keeping his units alive, but he's taking so much damage. This Immortal's going to start one-shotting Stalkers soon.
Yep, and Huck has 3 gates right now, Ben, so Huck will actually be able to warp in units, and he is warping in more Zealots right now, so if he would go for another one of those suicide blinks, it's going to be a lot harder. He is going for it, though.
I think that's going to be the death of Arthur. Blinks on top of the Immortal, takes it out, and is going to get a couple of Stalkers.
Those Zealots, Ben.
Blinking into the meat grinder, Kev. That is not where you want to be if you're a Stalker.
Sure, kill a lot. As Huck is going to produce another Immortal. He's going to have to survive this one more time, though. But Zealots are just such a good time save. He even picks up a Stalker over here. But he really needs an Immortal. The Zealots are great to cover and protect Immortals. But without the Immortals, of course, Zealots are going to be able to...
They just absorb a lot of damage. They're difficult to micro against. They're just very tricky units. Arthur not ready to tap out just yet, but he's down 15 supply.
And 7 probes. Huck needs a few more seconds, then the Immortal will join in on the low ground. He needs warping more Zealots, so he will get those seconds, Ben.
So smart play from Huck. Very, very nicely done. Immortal is here, and that is the end of
micro
Arthur's
by
aggression.
Huck over there as well.
Both players microing
I hear something.
pretty well, but
Something is slicing on something else.
I don't hear it.
Oh, there was a pylon? This is pylon from Archer in the natural? Well,
either that or it was a mutiny.
That's cry. That's great.
Arthur now going to work on these rocks in the back of Huck's natural, but at this point, there's not a whole lot that he can do with just blink Stalkers. His army's just not going to be robust enough. Expansion does go down.
Huck has so many Zealots right now, by the way, that it's going to be almost impossible to go for another suicide blink. Huck has a good scout as well, by the way, with the Observer. He's been active with his Observer on the other side of the map all along. Really solid play by Huck.
Yeah, Arthur just can't find any openings. What is realistically Arthur's chance of coming back in this game, Kevin, by expanding?
By buying as much time as possible and hoping perhaps that Huck would go for Colossus, so that he's going to sit on his base for a little while, and every time he wants to move out, blink into his base. But Huck is making, in my opinion, the correct choice by getting his own Twilight Console, because he knows that he has more probes, he knows he has a better economy, he knows that he's going to have more Immortals. So as long as he's actually able to leave his base, and he has his own blink Stalkers in case Archer wants to blink in his own base, Huck is going to be more than fine. He can just attack, and yes, there might be a couple of sentries over here as well, but that's going to be more than fine, because Huck's army is going to be so much bigger and stronger that he can afford to fight up against force fields.
Really impressed with the level of play we've been seeing from Huck here in recent weeks. He is starting to move out on the map a little bit. He's going to shut down this pylon, and is he just going to go attack right now? It looks like that's what he's thinking.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. He knows that the Stalkers are retreating as well, so he doesn't have to worry. There's nothing behind him. There's nothing on the other side of the map. He's warping in 2 more gates, so he's going to go up to 6 gates. Gets an offensive pylon. I don't really see how Archer can stop this. Even with really, really good force fields, Huck can just like run all the Zealots through, put the Immortals and Zealots in front, let them come up, and then blink on top of it with the rest of his Stalkers.
Truly tough position for Arthur. He does have a single Immortal out, but he's got 3 that he has to contend with.
There are so many Zealots. He doesn't have the DPS to take care of all these Zealots.
Huck making all the right choices, puts the Observer on the high ground. He's got a pylon there. He'll warp into the main and then crash through the ramps with the rest of his troops.
This is a little bit how Naniwa attacked against Mini the other day, and a lot of people actually thought that it was a silly attack, and I think that the attack was really great if it wasn't for 1 or 2 decisions that Nani made when he could have killed the Colossus, for instance. But other than that, I think this is going to be so hard for Archer to hold.
We see the force fields going down. They're pretty good force fields, and he's microing as well as he can hope to, doing a great job of keeping out a lot of those Zealots.
Well,
actually Arthur is going to make this really close, but Huck just has the supply lead. Arthur's lost his entire main base. 4 Zealots ravaging that mineral line. Huck did this so intelligently, even with Arthur controlling that basically perfectly.
Archer did it as good as he could have possibly done, man. Really good force field, zoned out of the unit for a long time, but it's not enough. Hawks starts excellent at the NASL Season 4 right now with 3 best-of-3 victories, man. I believe 3 times 2-1. 2-1 over Moro, 2-1 over Red, and today 2-1 over Arthur.
Super impressive play from Huck, looking like he's really on point. And wow, I mean, we joke about it sometimes, saying, "Oh man, this is really the resurgence of a legendary player." But Huck is looking to be in some really top shape.
And already having 450 bucks collected in the NASL Season 4, that's a nice way to start the league off as well. 3 best-of-3s, 450 bucks. It's not bad.
Yeah, man.
Really good best-of-3 by Huck.
Huck could buy some really nice wine with that money.
He could. And if he wins the Season 4, he gets really nice wine from me. Only because of his last name, Lorangier.
All right, guys, we're going to take a very short break. At Last Game brought to you by Cooler Master, coolermaster-usa.com, where you can pick up your own Cooler Master peripherals, mice, keyboards, and, of course, cases. Don't go anywhere. More StarCraft 2 coming from the NASL after this.